Light versus dark masculinity explained. You were told to be nice, calm, and kind. They told you that being powerful, cold, and ruthless was losing your soul or being wicked. You see, in today's generation, men are either too soft or too savage. And I mean to tell you that they're both incomplete. The idea that one diffuses the other is complete nonsense. You need both. But you don't just need both, you need to be able to calibrate both. But I'm going to go into a deeper understanding of how this all works so that you can now implement, after watching this video, exactly the clear balance between the two. My name is Mike the Chibarago, and I'm a coach. I help men discover themselves, help women understand how to build better relationships by understanding how to build We've been told that you're either light or dark, but masculinity isn't a color, it's a spectrum. And those that win in life master both. I'm going to describe the two archetypes just so you understand, okay? So, first of all, I want you to think of Goku and Kakarot. Goku is very calm, he's funny, he's naive to a certain extent. Kakarot is the Saiyan. He's the guy with the killer instinct. He's the guy that will not hesitate to obliterate a whole nation if he has to protect what he believes is right. We have James and Ghost. James and Patrick is the father, the business owner, the man that's trying to go legit. And Ghost is the cold-hearted motherfucker who will obliterate or clear out the way whoever needs to go for the sake of his own cause. Throughout these models I've just mentioned, there's a clear difference between one and two. Masculinity, alright, is calm, protective, empathetic, and noble. And the archetypes in this enter normally kind of suit the gentleman, the father, the hero. Now, these are people that value peace, diplomacy, and harmony. So in my case, I grew up with a light masculine man. My dad's a light masculine man, values peace, values harmony, great father, very empathetic and noble, okay? However, I saw firsthand how the world treats light masculine men. And although they have the frame of a man, there's still some sort of weakness without the ability to hone their dark masculine energy, which I'm going to go into now. So in the dark masculinity, you got cold, calculated, disciplined, assertive, and the archetypes are the warrior, the strategist, and the king. Okay? Now, these people are people that value power, fear, and survival. In this example, I saw firsthand how my dad needed dark masculine energy to withstand the blows of the household, because the way the environment was, there was a lot of arguments, there was a lot of mess and stress from the lack of dark energy in the room. And when I mean dark energy, I mean the ability to present on the room without necessarily having to prove yourself or speak on anything that you don't want to speak on. Okay? It's easier said than done, of course, but what I learned, the way I learned this was through my mom. She was a very emotional woman, love her to bits, but I had to detach from my emotions to survive. And the reason why I did that is because if you grew up in an African household, like, no pun intended, I'm not even trying to make it a joke, but it's not for the weak, right? You're going to be dealing with a lot of words being thrown at you that they may not necessarily mean. And because you're sensitive and fragile at the time, you're going to find a way to cope with that if not handled correctly. And that coping mechanism will take you to your adult years without you realizing otherwise. So I didn't know it at the time, but in order for me to survive the emotional hits I was getting at the time, I simply decided to detach. And detachment without being led accordingly leads to just being numb, which is where I got to eventually. This place where I just didn't care. And that was not because I was a horrible person. I had just disconnected my ability to empower my emotions. I looked at my emotion as such a repelling thing that I just didn't pay any mind to it at all. Which had its benefits because I was able to do what most people want, but the negatives were when it was time for me to display my light masculine energy, I was handicapped. So that's pretty much it there, yeah. So the reason why a lot of men get stuck is because you're either the light masculine guy or you're the dark masculine guy. And in the dark light masculine guy, you're passive, you're people pleasing, and you're emotionally repressed. The issue with that is this. You see, when you're solely one thing, you don't just reap the benefits of that thing, you also reap the negatives of that thing. And that's because polarity shows us that every coin has a side. Every point has a side. So if you now say I'm light masculine, that's great. That also means you're passive, people pleasing, and potentially emotionally repressed. But you're also noble, kind, and all the things I mentioned earlier. Now, what tends to happen with these people is this. You start off as a light masculine guy because you're seeing movies like Prince Charming and all these things, and you now divert into the dark masculine because you realize that people take advantage of the negatives of the light masculine energy. Okay? And you overcorrect yourself into dark masculine energy. So you become detached, cold, and intimidating, which is exactly what happened to me. After my heartbreak, after being overlooked at work, not feeling seen at work, not feeling seen at home, I decided to go into the dark masculine energy where I decided, listen, I'm going to detach, I'm going to be cold, I'm going to be intimidating. And I didn't do that by pretending to be intimidating, no. I done that by owning the room. How did I own the room? I owned my intimidation. I knew there was a side of me that was able to do what needed to be done. Let's just call it that. Because I had built the confidence through fighting, through different sports, and that fierce competitiveness became this shadow that sometimes will come out to just simply let whoever was testing those boundaries know that I'm not the one to do it with. And the best example I can think of is One Piece, when they display the haki. I don't know if any of you guys are watching One Piece, but highly recommend it. And when he displays the haki and people just fall and faint and stuff like that, that's pretty much what it's like an aura for the new guys, new kids on the block. So owning your aura, right? So without integration, they both lead to failure. That's the problem. They lead to failure in love, leadership, and purpose, which is pretty much the three pillars every man where they lack to have mastered. Like I said, I saw my dad go through the light masculinity's defects, where he was noble but broken, and it destroyed me too. And the cracks led me into embracing the dark masculine energy, which showed me that once I did get a person I wanted to be with, that if I hadn't honed or decided to really understand how to get myself into a balanced perspective, I would have lost the ability to connect in general and gain the ideal space where I can be a father, I can be a husband, and I can be a son effectively. So in other words, power without love is poison, right? And love without power is pointless, right? The modern man needs a lot more than just alpha energy, like some of these people are saying, oh, just focus on your goals and fuck everything else. That's what's being pretty much being told. You see, as a guy, most of the people that I've spoken to that are fathers, it's priceless to have a family. It's priceless to be able to go home, have someone that you're looking forward to seeing you. These are priceless things, right? And in order for you to get there, you don't need, like I said, just be a good man or be a good who. No, you need comprehensiveness. And that comprehensiveness comes in this framework. You need to be a fighter, a provider, and a leader, but also a lover, a nurturer, and a gentleman, but also a framer, a father, a husband, and a son. And to explain this briefly, I go into more detail on my actual training, but coaching program, sorry. But to keep it briefly, fighter stands his ground, okay? Every man should be able to stand their ground. A lover connects with his woman deeply. He's able to understand how to create that deep connection. You see, here's why I say to men as well, sex is great, don't get me wrong, but if you have that with emotional connection, it takes things to a different level. The frame man holds his tension without reacting. The father creates safety and legacy. So here's the practical tools for integration, okay? Practice assertiveness with emotional awareness. So be decisive, okay? Be assertive, but use your emotions to empower your decisions. What do I mean by that? Understand what emotion complements the decision you've made, and then have the ability to use that resourcefully. I'm excited, and you're allowed to be excited, but you do it in a way that you've given yourself permissions to do so because you've calculated that that is the right path to take, okay? When you listen or when you learn to protect, learn when to protect and when to punish. There's times where you're going to need to be able to have the ability to punish. Especially if you're a light masculine man, the lack of ability to punish is what's keeping people away from being able to respect you. Because they can sense that you don't have the ability to punish them. And you don't necessarily need to punish them, by the way. You just need to look like you'll be able to. You just need to give the aura. You need to own the presence that if someone was to cross you, they wouldn't have such an easy time doing that, right? Set boundaries with love. So I always say it, and I'll say it today again, self-respect box. In that self-respect box, if you have to step out of it, the boundary is where it ends. I'm sorry, I can't have that conversation. You're stepping outside my boundaries now, right? Detach, not to escape, but to return with power. Okay, and what I mean by that is, the best example is this. Look at your life from a third view perspective or bird view perspective, and then analyze your actions, analyze your thought process, and have conversations where you're now saying, for instance, even in the show, you're saying, "Cut, what's going on here? Why am I acting the way I'm acting? What's going on? What's the decision? Why am I making this decision instead of this other decision?" Right? The key line is this: become dangerous, but choose to be kind, and then protect your ability to be so. Right? Because if you're tired of being misunderstood, it's probably because you're integrating one or the other. But I promise you, the moment you're able to embody the two and become a comprehensive man that can be able to that's able to show up for each archetype, life will get much easier. And not just much easier, but you're going to be able to understand when it's time to show up and when it's time to step back, when it's time to move with prestige or it's time to move with empathy, right? Embody the full masculine spectrum, okay? And if you're interested in joining the next cohort, or you'd like to have a one-to-one session with me, book a call below and I'll see how I can help you. But let's build better relationship one conversation at a time. I promise you, the moment you're able to grasp this concept, everything changes, because you're going to be able to show up for each archetype effectively. Okay? Alright, I really hope this has helped you, and let's keep pushing. I'm rooting for you. Peace.